Welcome to the NCC Library's presentation on fake news. I am Cassandra Nieves, one of the reference librarians from the Monroe campus. I am joined today by Kelly O'Donnell. We will go over how to identify the different types of fake news and why it is important in today's society.
Hi, I'm Kelly O'Donnell, and I'm the Information Services Librarian over at Bethlehem. Like Cassandra said, fake news is a really important topic to understand. So one thing that's important to know is how we get our fake news. Years ago, many people got their news from physical newspapers or they watched the news. If you went into a grocery store, it was easy to see the New York Times, and next to it might be a tabloid with stories like Bat Boy found alive in a cave or husband abducted by aliens. It was easy to spot fake news back then. Now, however, students are getting most of their news by discussing it with students or social media, as seen here in this chart. I can personally relate to this because I'll go on Facebook or Twitter and get my daily news. Then at night, my father will be watching World News Tonight, but by that time, I've almost seen all of the news articles he's seeing. So because everything is so online, it's easier for fake news to get by unnoticed. In fact, according to a Pew Research poll, 48% of adults say they have seen at least some made-up news about COVID-19. Even the most professionals can get tricked by fake news.
Personal bias plays a large role in fake news and misinformation. Personal bias is a tendency to favor one thing over another. If you are 100% biased, you would lack a neutral viewpoint. Everyone is biased in different ways, and it is not always a good thing or a bad thing. The first step in identifying fake news is to be able to recognize our personal bias. Here is an example from my life. I adore cats. I have my entire life. Growing up, I always had at least one cat as a pet and never really came in contact with dogs. Due to this bias, I have become a bit of a sucker for cat videos, which is why when I saw the following video, I was completely smitten.
This is Jack.
Whoa. Oh.
His voice is a little deeper than most cats. Hey, buddy. You say hi? You say hi?
Oh.
Good boy.
I bet many of you can guess where this is going. As it turns out, that video has audio manipulation and that cat does not in fact meow like that. It took my husband calling me out on the silliness of this video to make me realize I needed to be a bit more wary when it comes to my beloved cat videos. Being aware of your personal bias not only makes you more cautious when approaching potential fake news and misinformation, but it also allows you to open up to new ideas and opinions. In my case, being aware of my bias allowed me to not only recognize false videos, but also allow myself to become more friendly with family dogs who turned out to be complete sweeties.
Fake news isn't as simple as, that article is false. There are actually 7 different types of fake news and 8 different reasons that fake news articles are created. You can see the list here of the different type and reasons for fake news. In the next slide, we are going to go through and explain the various types of fake news and give some examples. Satire or parody. 2 common types of fake news are satire or parody. Satire, as you can see, is the use of humor, irony, or exaggeration to expose or criticize people's stupidity or vices, especially those in politics or pop culture. Whereas parody is an imitation of the style of an individual with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. It's easy to confuse these two, so the next 2 slides will give examples of each. We'll start with satire. Disney announces plans to release Mulan directly into America's consciousness is an example of satire. Obviously, Disney can't actually do this, so it's an exaggeration of Disney's omnipresence. There are lots of fake news companies that are popping up, but a good example and the OG of satirical articles is The Onion. They post articles about all different subjects. Parody is next. SNL is a great example of parody. They provide exaggerated imitations of politicians and other famous people. They have done parodies of Tom Brady, Ariana Grande, presidents of the United States, but one of my favorite examples is pictured here. It's Tina Fey as Sarah Palin and Amy Poehler as Hillary Clinton.
The next type of fake news is likely the one that you are most familiar with. It is called misleading content, but is most commonly known as clickbait. It is described as content whose main purpose is to attract attention with a flashy photo or headline, even sometimes a combination of both, to encourage visitors to open a web page. Once on the page, the title or image will be misleading. Here is an example. This photo shows a man with a lion on top of him, and the headline reads, "Won't believe what happens next." Normally, when we see a lion with a human, we assume the worst. The headline could lead us to believe that the man may have narrowly escaped with his life. However, this clickbait article is truly about an unlikely friendship between the man and the lion. This clickbait format happens frequently when unlikely friendships occur between predator and prey. Another type of fake news is imposter content. This is when a real source is impersonated and filled with false content. Here is a screenshot of the real CNN website. At the top, you can see their logo. Each online article will have the author and a date, and even sometimes the time of day it was published. Here is an example of an imposter site. You can see the logo is different from the official CNN logo. There is no information about an author or even a publication date, and certainly no timestamp on the article. These are clear giveaways that the site is false and the content within it is not to be trusted.
Fabricated content is information that is 100% made up. Unfortunately, many times, this kind of fake news is created to harm, deceive others, or attack other groups. This is not always the case, however, as you can see in the next slide. One example of fabricated content was the video of a pig rescuing a goat. Let's take a look at the video.
In the water. Goat in the water. And there he is, the hero pig.
This video started trending and was even covered by NBC Nightly News, although I should mention they did state there was no way of knowing if it was real. Turns out it wasn't. It was created to bring guests to the park. It was supposed to entertain, and it was a harmless video. If you want to watch how they created this fake video, check out How the Pig Saves Baby Goat video was created in the description.
The next type of false news is the false connection. This is when headlines, visuals, or captions do not match the content. Consider promotional or suggested articles on social media or at the bottom of news sites with headlines like "Celebrities you didn't know were dead," with a photo of a celebrity that you thought was still alive. However, when you click the link, the celebrity was not listed. Here are some examples from real online sites. We have people are only now realizing I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus isn't about cheating with Santa. Connected to it, we have a photo from a film, Bad Santa, with Lauren Graham and Billy Bob Thornton. However, the article is not about them or their film. We have a headline, 21 examples of kid logic that are equally dumb and funny. However, it's connected to a photo from Game of Thrones. Again, not connected at all. And then finally, we have a picture of Dwayne Johnson with the headline 27 dad jokes I actually hate myself for laughing at. All, fun clickbait articles. that you might want to actually read. However, the photos that are connected with these articles have absolutely nothing to do with the content within them.
The next example we have is false content. This is when real content is shared out of context or with false information. It's an untruth. We have two great examples of false content on this page. The first were stories going around about animals returning because people were in quarantine. This picture is of dolphins returning to the Venice canals because the waters are clearer without boat traffic. The same was said of swans. This turned out to be false, however, because these pictures were actually taken in Sardinia, an Italian island. And swans always go through the Venice canals. The waters were clearer, but this fake content story took that truth and added false information about animals coming back. The other one was the broom challenge. This viral challenge went around because it was said that NASA said because of the Earth's tilt on February 10th, gravity would work in a way where people were able to stand up a broom for this day only. It turns out that this is fake, and brooms can actually stand up at any time. NASA even went as far as to put a video out explaining the gravity and how this can be done any day of the week.
Manipulated content is the last type of fake news we will cover. This is when genuine or real content is manipulated to deceive the audience. This photo circulates on social media frequently. The caption usually claims that it is the winner of the 2016 National Geographic Photo of the Year. However, this photo is actually a manipulation or Photoshop of several photos. You can debunk a photo and a claim one of two ways. The first is very simple. Google the caption. You can easily find the real winner of the National Geographic photo winner by looking on the National Geographic website. The other option is to do a reverse image Google search. To do this, you need to have the URL of the photo or have it saved to your device. Once you have the image saved to your device, you can go to images.google.com, select the camera icon next to the search bar, and then select Upload an image. Then you will need to choose the file from your computer and upload it. Once you've done that, you will find all of the images that match the one you've uploaded and where they originated from.
As important as it is to understand the different types of fake news, it's also important to be able to evaluate these news articles in order to identify what is fake. In order to do so, we can use the CRAP method. This method has us looking at the currency, reliability, authority, and purpose of each article. We want to look at the currency. We want to know if the information is recent and when it was published. You can do so by trying to find a timestamp somewhere on the article. Typically, it's near the author's byline. Also, you can see how recently was the website updated. If you're looking for that information, you can look all the way at the bottom of a website and it should say the last time it was updated. You also want to look at the reliability. What kind of information is included in this resource? Is the content of the source primarily opinion? Is it balanced? And is it factual? Does the creator provide references or sources for data or quotations? If they're arguing something in a news article, are they giving facts or studies to back that information up? I love this meme because it says, if it's on the internet, it must be true. Obviously, we know this is a fake meme because in the 1800s there was no internet. However, we want to look at things like this when we're looking for news articles and the reliability of the information within. We also want to look at the authority. Who is the creator or author of the article? We're doing this to make sure that they're an expert in the subject they are reporting on. If we take the coronavirus pandemic articles as an example, we want to take a look at who is writing them. Is it doctors or written by somebody who isn't in the healthcare field? If you aren't sure who the author is, you can do a quick Google search on that author. This should give you some information on their background. We also want to look at who is the publisher or sponsor and are they reputable. Obviously, we want to look and see if the publisher has any certain interests. Lastly, make sure you are looking to see if there are advertisements and if they are clearly marked. Lastly, and we talked a bit about this in the other slides, we want to look at purpose. If Chick-fil-A was to tweet a news article expressing that chicken is the healthiest food you can eat, you may be a bit skeptical. Does the author seem to be trying to push a particular agenda or side of an issue? Is the article fact or opinion? It's important to know the difference between an editorial opinion piece and a factual, objective news article. You also want to look out for ads that are disguised as news articles. Make sure you know if the author is trying to tell you something and whether or not it's an ad or a news article.
You can test your ability to spot fake news by playing the game Fictitious. You can play the original version or play the Pandemic Edition. The articles start out easy but progress in difficulty as the game advances. You can guess by reading the article and headline alone, or click Source at the bottom to have the source revealed for an extra clue. Remember to evaluate the authority of the source to help determine the validity of the article if you are uncertain. Deepfake videos are also considered a part of fake news and misinformation. You are likely familiar with deepfake videos even if you have never heard the term before. A deepfake video is a video that has altered only an individual's face. Here is an example of a deepfake video.
How's your head?
Oh, good. Fine.
Oh, I've been so worried about you ever since you ran off the other night. Are you okay?
Oh, it's hurting.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Come on.
Isn't he a dreamboat?
Doc, she didn't even look at him.
This is more serious than I thought. Apparently your mother is amorously infatuated with you instead of your father.
Whoa, wait a minute. Doc, are you trying to tell me that my mother has got the hots for me?
Precisely.
Whoa, this is heavy.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
What?
The only way we're going to get those two to successfully mate is if they are alone together. So you've got to get your father and mother to interact in some sort of social...
Well, what, you mean like a date?
Right.
Well, what kind of date? I don't know. What do kids do in the 50s?
What? They're your parents. You must know them. What are their common interests? What do they like to do together?
Nothing.
Now that you've seen a deepfake video in action, here is a sample of how the process happens. These photos show the process of an artificial intelligence or AI system uses to generate a completely artificial or fake face from scratch. This process took 18 days to create when it was published in 2018. This grid shows how AI software can generate new faces based off of existing individuals. Each one has characteristics from the two individuals it is based off of, but is still completely new.
The New York Times said these tools could be used for misinformation and propaganda and might erode public trust in pictorial evidence, a trend that could damage the justice system as well as politics. Right now, we often believe things when we see proof. What happens when that proof is now doctored? It's important to be able to know what is real and what is fake. This also has serious and important implications for celebrities and politicians. Politicians often have strong stances on issues, and what would happen if deepfakes come out with them changing their stances? Deepfakes of celebrities or politicians saying hateful things or making compromising statements. Also, this leads to videos like non-consensual pornography. All of these things are super important to consider, and hopefully as time goes on, technology will become better at identifying which videos are deepfakes and which are real. In our last slide, I wanted to show you a video that was created to show and explore those implications we just talked about. It's a fun way to realize how serious deepfakes can be. And just a disclaimer, the following video has adult language. If you're uncomfortable, you can skip ahead a minute and 12 seconds.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, I don't know, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of fucked up dystopia. Thank you, and stay woke, bitches.
Thanks for watching our presentation. Remember to check out the links in the description for further interactive fake news information. And if you have any questions about an article that you're unsure about, feel free to email us at askthelibrarian@northampton.edu.